all-night society. I met Carol at a grocery store. She dropped a bag of apples, and I helped her pick them up. She was pretty. She had a soft voice. We started dating, and 6 months later, we got married. Rereading that, it sounds fast. My friends told me it was fast, but Carol felt like home. She knew exactly how I liked my coffee. She knew I hated the sound of whistling. She even knew about the scar on my lower back before I ever showed her. I just guessed, she told me. She laughed and kissed my cheek. The weird things started small. We were sitting on the couch watching TV. Carol looked at me and said, "I'm glad you kept your hair short this time. I didn't like it long in the 80s. I laughed. I wasn't even 10 years old in the 80s, Carol. She didn't laugh back. She just stared at the TV. In our first marriage, Mark, you grew it out. It was a mess. I thought she was joking. I thought maybe it was a private game she was playing. I went to the kitchen to get some water. A week later, I came home from work. Carol was in the kitchen. She was cooking a heavy beef stew. The house was very hot. Every window was shut and locked. "It's 80 degrees outside, Carol," I said. "Why is the heat on?" She stirred the pot. She didn't look at me. The winter of '94 was very cold. You remember. The pipes froze. We had to huddle in the basement. "Carol, stop," I said. "We met 2 years ago. We bought this house last year. Are you feeling okay?" She turned around. She was holding a large wooden spoon. Her eyes were wide and very dry. "Don't be difficult, Mark. It makes things harder. It makes you want to leave. And you can't leave this time." I felt a chill. I went to the bedroom to change my clothes. When I opened my closet, my clothes were gone. In their place were old suits. They looked like they were from 30 years ago. They smelled like mothballs. I found my phone and tried to call my brother. There was no signal. I looked at the window. Carol had screwed the window frame shut with long steel screws. I ran back to the kitchen. I wanted my keys. I wanted to get out. "Where are my things, Carol?" I yelled. She was sitting at the table. She had 2 bowls of stew set out. She had my car keys in her hand. She dropped them into the boiling pot of stew. "Sit down, Mark," she said. Her voice was very flat. "I spent a long time finding you again. I had to wait for you to grow up. I had to watch you." I stared at her. "You watched me. "Since you were a boy," she said. She took a bite of her food. "You look just like you did when you died, just a little younger. I won't let the car hit you this time. That's why I took the keys." I backed away. I reached for the back door. It was locked. Not just locked, but barred with a heavy wooden plank. "I fixed the basement," she said. She stood up. She was holding a kitchen knife. She wasn't pointing it at me. She was just holding it. "I put a bed down there. No windows, no cars, no roads, just us." I looked at the knife. I looked at her face. She looked like the woman I loved, but her eyes were empty. "We've been married before, Mark," she whispered. "And this time, we're going to stay married forever. I am in the bathroom now." I locked the door. I am using the last of my battery to write this. I can hear her outside. She is humming a song I've never heard. She just knocked. She said the stew is getting cold. She said she found the hammer. I think she is going to break the door. I don't think I can get out. She knows everything about me. She has been planning this for a very long time. My wife's name is Sarah. We have been married for 5 years. We live in a small house with a small yard. Everything was normal until 3 months ago. It started in the kitchen. I came home from work and heard Sarah laughing. I thought she was on the phone. I walked in, but her phone was on the counter. She was looking at the empty chair at the kitchen table. "Who are you talking to?" I asked. She jumped a little. She looked at me and smiled. "No one, honey, just thinking out loud." I believed her. People talk to themselves sometimes. I do it too when I am stressed. A week later, I woke up at 2:00 a.m. Sarah was not in bed. I went down the hallway. The light in the living room was off. I heard her whispering. "He doesn't know," she said. Then she paused, like she was listening to an answer. "I know. I'll tell him when the time is right." I turned on the light. Sarah was sitting on the floor. She looked up at me. Her eyes were very wide. "Sarah, what are you doing?" "I couldn't sleep," she said. Her voice was flat. "I was just talking to Paul. We don't know anyone named Paul." "Who is Paul?" I asked. She pointed to the empty corner of the room. "He's been staying with us for a while. He's very nice. He thinks you're a bit loud, though." My skin went cold. I looked at the corner. There was nothing there, just a shadow from the lamp. The next day, I tried to talk to her about it. I told her she should see a doctor. She got very angry. She started screaming. She said I was being mean to Paul. She said Paul was her only real friend. After that, things got worse. She started setting a third plate at dinner. She would put food on it. Steak, potatoes, green beans. She would get mad if I tried to move the plate. Paul is eating, she would say. I watched the food sit there. It would get cold. After dinner, she would scrape the food into the trash. She acted like it was totally normal. Last Tuesday, I came home early. Sarah didn't hear me come in. She was in our bedroom. She was holding a pair of my scissors. She was standing by the bed and talking to the air. Do it now, she asked the empty space. But he hasn't done anything yet. She listened for a second. Then she nodded. Okay, you're right. He will eventually. It's better to be safe. I stepped back out of the room. I felt sick. My heart was beating very fast. That night, I didn't sleep. I stayed awake and watched her. She slept perfectly still. She looked peaceful, but she had hidden the scissors under her pillow. I saw the silver handle sticking out. Yesterday, I found my cat, Oliver. He was dead in the backyard. There was no blood. He just looked like he had been squeezed too hard. Sarah was standing over him. She wasn't crying. Paul didn't like the way he hissed, she said. She looked at me and smiled. It was the same smile she gave me on our wedding day. I am writing this in the bathroom. I have locked the door. I can hear her in the hallway right now. She is whispering. She is telling Paul that I am hiding. I hear her footsteps stop outside the door. Honey, she says. Her voice is very sweet. Paul says it's time to come out. He wants to show you something. I am looking at the window. It is too small to climb through. I don't know what to do. I don't think Paul is a ghost. I think Sarah is very sick. She is rattling the doorknob now. She isn't stopping. I have been married to Lena for 5 years. We have a quiet life. I work at a warehouse. She stays home and takes care of the house. She is a good cook. She is usually very kind. 5 weeks ago, something changed. I woke up in the middle of the night. I had to go to the kitchen for a glass of water. I looked at the digital clock on the nightstand. The blue numbers said 3:17 a.m. I looked at Lena. She was lying on her back. Her eyes were closed, but her body was very stiff. Her hands were gripping the blanket. I could see her knuckles were white. I whispered her name, Lena. She did not move. She did not blink. Her breathing was very shallow. It did not sound like sleep breathing. It sounded like she was holding her breath. I went to the kitchen and came back. She was in the exact same position. The next night, it happened again. I woke up at exactly 3:17 a.m. Lena was stiff. Her eyes were shut tight. I reached out and touched her arm. It felt like cold stone. She was pretending to be asleep. I know how she looks when she is actually sleeping. When she sleeps, she snores a little. Her mouth stays open. At 3:17 a.m., her mouth was a thin, hard line. During the day, everything was normal. We ate breakfast. She made me eggs and toast. She talked about the weather. She talked about the neighbors. She smiled at me, but her eyes looked tired. There were dark circles under them. I started to stay awake on purpose. I wanted to see what happened. On Tuesday, the clock hit 3:17 a.m. I pretended to sleep, but I kept my eyes cracked open just a little bit. Lena did not move for 10 minutes. Then, very slowly, she tilted her head toward me. Her eyes were still closed. She stayed like that for a long time. She was listening to me. She was making sure I was deep in sleep. Then she reached under her pillow. She pulled out a small piece of paper. She didn't open it. She just held it against her chest. She sat like that until 4 a.m. Then she put the paper back and went back to being stiff. I felt a cold shiver in my back. Why was she doing this? Yesterday, I decided to look for the paper. Lena went to the grocery store. I went into the bedroom. I reached under her pillow. I found a small, sharp kitchen knife. It was wrapped in a piece of paper. I opened the paper. It was a list. It had dates and times. Oct 12/3/17 a.m. He moved his leg. Oct 13/3/17 a.m. He breathed too loud. Oct 14/3/17 a.m. He touched my arm. Almost time. Under the list, she had written my name over and over. Mark, Mark, Mark. The handwriting was messy. It didn't look like her normal writing. It looked angry. I put the knife and the paper back. I went to the living room and sat down. I felt sick. My heart was beating very fast. Lena came home an hour later. She had a bag of groceries. She was smiling. I bought steak for dinner, she said. You love steak. She went into the kitchen. I heard her taking a knife out of the drawer. She started whistling a happy song. Last night, I did not sleep at all. I stayed very still. I watched the clock. 3:15, 3:16. At 3:17 a.m., Lena's body went stiff next to me. I could feel the heat from her skin. She was right there. I knew the knife was under her pillow. I knew she was waiting for me to close my eyes. I am sitting at work now. I am typing this on my break. I don't want to go home. I don't want to eat the steak she made. I checked my watch. It is almost 5 p.m. I have to go back to the house soon. I have to pretend everything is okay. But I know what will happen tonight at 3:17 a.m. I don't think I can pretend to sleep anymore. I think she knows I am watching her. When I left this morning, she kissed me on the cheek. She whispered, "See you tonight, Mark. Sleep well." My name is Rob. I have been married to Emily for 6 years. We live in a small house with a blue door. Our life always seemed normal. I go to work at the warehouse. She stays home and does freelance graphic design. 3 weeks ago, I was looking for a stamp. I went to Emily's desk in the spare room. She was at the grocery store. I opened the top drawer. I found a yellow notepad. I saw my name written on the first page. Robert Miller. It was written dozens of times. At first, I thought she was just doodling. But then I looked closer. It wasn't just my name. It was my signature. My signature is hard to do. I have a very messy R and a long line at the end. On the paper, the signatures started out looking wrong. But as I flipped the pages, they got better. By the third page, they looked exactly like mine. I couldn't tell the difference. I put the notepad back. I felt a little weird, but I told myself it was nothing. Maybe she was bored. A few days later, I found more papers. They were in the recycling bin under some empty cereal boxes. There were scraps of paper with my signature on them. Some were on official-looking practice forms. She had even used a blue pen because I always use blue pens. At dinner, I watched her. She was eating her peas one by one. She was very quiet. "Are you okay, Emily?" I asked. She looked up and smiled. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "I'm fine, honey. Just tired," she said. That night, I waited until she was asleep. I went to her laptop. It was on the kitchen table. I know her password. It is our dog's name. I looked at the search history. She had been searching for life insurance payouts and how to sell a house without the spouse present. There were also searches for painless poisons and symptoms of a heart attack. My heart started beating very fast. My palms were sweaty. I looked through her recent downloads. I found a PDF file. It was a change of beneficiary form for my work insurance policy. I scrolled to the bottom of the form. My signature was there. It looked perfect. The date on the form was yesterday. I never signed that paper. I heard a noise behind me. I turned around. Emily was standing in the doorway. She was wearing her white nightgown. She wasn't moving. She was just holding a heavy glass paperweight from the desk. "You weren't supposed to look at that yet, Rob," she said. Her voice was very flat. It didn't sound like her. "Emily, what is this?" I asked. My voice shook. She took a step into the kitchen. The floorboard creaked. She looked at the laptop screen and then back at me. "I practiced so hard," she whispered. "I wanted it to be perfect, so there would be no questions." She took another step. She was still holding the glass. I looked at the back door. It was locked. I had locked it myself before bed. "I'm going to go now," I said. I tried to move toward the door. She moved faster than I thought she could. She blocked the way. She was tilting her head to the side. "You can't go," she said. "The papers are already in the mail. You're already gone on paper, Rob. The rest is just a detail." I realized then that she hadn't just been practicing my name. She had been planning my ending. And she had been doing it right in front of me at her little desk with a blue pen and a yellow notepad. She hasn't stopped looking at me. I am in the bathroom now. I have locked the door. I can hear her scratching at the wood with something sharp. It sounds like a pen.